Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Seo Jayek. I'm the founder and the CEO of Echo Technology Solutions. We are a full services technology management firm focusing primarily on organizations with up to 500 people. What is unique and unusual about Echo is the full services aspect of it.
We provide technology strategy, management, cybersecurity, infrastructure, and end user support, as well as business system development and support for all our clients. Our ideal partnerships are with nonprofit organizations that focus all their energies on their mission, and they outsource their entire technology operations to it. Personally, I have been managing technology since 1994. Started Echo in 2002, and since then, we worked with more than 1,000 organizations, and at least 150 of those are nonprofit organizations. We are increasingly focused on the sector, and bringing this webinar to you is part of that whole idea and strategy. I sit on the board of the ARC San Francisco, which is an organization that transforms the lives of adults with developmental disabilities by advancing lifelong learning, personal achievement, and independence. We have been involved in many budget discussions, and what you will hear today is probably a bit different take on technology, on its role in nonprofit organizations, and how to improve your organization through technology without major additional investments. We have a limited amount of time to cover everything, so I will touch on certain topics briefly, and we can discuss anything and everything afterwards if we have time right after the webinar or later on offline. Our goal for this webinar is twofold. For you, we hope that you will learn something new and leave with valuable ideas and tips that you can apply to this and the future budgetary cycles. For us here at Echo, we hope that if you like what you hear today, you will either call us for advice once you have a problem to solve, or you would refer us to some of your friends or your partners in the industry. We will start with some strategic items, move towards technology trends that will drive your budgets over the next 3 years. And then we'll wrap up with about 2 or 3 more of a technical tips, ideas, or more of a hands-on approach of how to handle some of the suggested goals over here with this webinar. So, you know what I wanted really to call this slide is that the future is bright. We strongly believe, and our experience proves it, that recent technology developments, most recent technology-driven business models, and increased focus of technology vendors on social impact is one of the best things that happened to nonprofit organizations in a very long time. Technologies that could potentially help solve financial sustainability of nonprofit organizations are finally available to us. And you know, they were available. You know, we needed technically a lot more than highly profitable large enterprises. So first of all, we can finally afford to purchase them, or even sometimes get them for free. The second is that the implementation and maintenance of those do not require a team of 20 highly paid consultants anymore. And finally, there are communities built around these technologies and solutions, enabling easy knowledge share and advanced learning. So yes, the future is bright, potential is here, and it's real. So what is holding us back? The corporate world went through this kind of transformation in the late 90s and early 2000s. This is, for example, when most of them implemented their CRM systems. Towards the end of the 90s, most of them would implement highly sophisticated ERP systems, financial systems. Our world of small nonprofit organizations is unfortunately about 20 years behind. It is not our fault. We would have done if we could. But now that this reality is here, we see about 3 major issues that we're faced with that are really holding us back in this. First of all, there's a big chasm between technology and business in the nonprofit world. People doing tech support, understanding technology well, but they have no business or budgeting experience. People in charge of building budgets don't have enough technology experience, and a lot gets lost in translation. The IT or technology, and I will use those 2 terms interchangeably, are not managed centrally. They are not viewed holistically or strategically. And that creates quite a problem for people in charge of budgets. IT teams are managing infrastructure and user support, but business systems are most frequently spread between development, finance, program management, and operations. And of course, each group wants to get the most of the limited money from the budget, and suddenly the budget discussion becomes a bit more of a political problem than a business problem that it is, or that it should be. Which, in my experience, really the second issue really stems from the much larger and a bigger issue, is that most organizations do not have a clearly defined purpose of role of technology in their organizations. Many don't even understand what technology can do for them, because it's a new reality we live in. Most likely, depending on who you talk to in different organizations, you'll get different answers, but most commonly, what I hear out there is, well, we're small organizations, we don't need much. Our needs are simple. It's just working, so I don't want to change too many things right now. But the fact is that most organizations spend at least 4% of their budgets, overall budgets, on technology, and as we mostly know, we're not getting much in return. There's no clearly or well-defined return on investment. So it's simply a money that leaves the house without creating major impact on your organization. And this is the most serious problem plaguing the nonprofit world, that money is leaving, we're not getting anything in return. Technology might be one of the best things that happened to nonprofit world recently, and we have to embrace it. And this is where it starts. It starts with the following. It's very simply the business strategy derives the technology strategy. This slide taps a little bit into ECHO's technology strategy and management framework, which some of you have probably seen already, so I'll make it as short as possible and still stay focused on the budgets. But the budgetary discussion starts with, what are you trying to achieve as an organization? From there, you determine how technology will best help you achieve that goal. For example, take your 3-year strategic plan and see which goals can be supported with or through technology. Your mission drives your business strategy, which derives your technology strategy, which really drives your IT budgets. And to do that, we strongly suggest bringing on board a part-time CIO, or somebody who could be called a technology strategist, somebody who will really be able to balance that business and technology, your business requirements, and who understands how technology can support those goals. Bringing somebody like this also addresses that first problem we mentioned on a previous slide, that the chasm between technology and business. Once you have a good idea on what your technology strategy looks like, put all of your technology under one business leader, someone who will be comfortable discussing technology strategy with both the board and with your team. Form an IT steering committee, 4 to 6 people from different corners of your organization, to ensure that technology works for everyone in the organization. The IT steering committee is not a management body. It's really a group of people driving the business requirements and making sure that technology stays aligned behind your business requirements, rather than become a beast on its own. And once you have this, I think you might be in a really good position to start really building your unified IT budget, and the one that works for your mission and for your entire organization. So coming off of that recommendation that IT should be managed as one, we're also suggesting that the IT budget should be one and the only that includes everything under the technology umbrella. All hardware, all software, all services, and few auxiliary items we suggest include, for example, we suggest including cybersecurity insurance into your IT budget as well. This picture that we have here might help. This is how ECHO views IT stack, and it really helps us break the complexity of the technology into much more manageable pieces. And we'll probably be back to this picture a little bit later. But now that you know, technically you're now ready to tackle two really of the most important or core IT budget issue. One of them is how much money should be spent on technology overall. And the second big problem is really how do you allocate that money between different technology layers to really increase that return on investment or the impact that technology makes on your organization. So speaking about how much should be spent on technology, I've been posing this question to organizations, pretty much any organization I work with for the last 25 years, and the number we consistently get back to that organizations that don't manage their technology strategically, they don't care too much about it, or simply they don't need technology to run their program, will spend at least 4% of their overall budget on technology. Now, organizations that require, for example, regulatory compliance, or organizations with multiple locations, organizations that support multiple business models, or multiple programs that distinctly differ from each other, can be required to spend up to 7% of their budgets on technology. And finally, organizations where technology is the core of their mission, or their programs are pretty much based on some form of a technology platform, can spend up to 10% of their annual budget every year on technology. But again, we always have to come back to that same question, regardless of what your specific percentage is, what the amount of is. What matters there is, what are you getting in return? What is your technically return on investment? And this is where we start talking about allocation of your IT budgets into different buckets. And the next few slides really cut deep into the core of our ECO's technology strategy and management framework, which is pretty unique. So allow me about 3 slides to focus on this. So what this slide showed really here is not only the pyramid, but it also showed to what degree each layer of technology impacts organizations. Infrastructure and core applications have a very small impact on their own. And as you climb to the top of this pyramid, the impact grows rapidly. IT management and cybersecurity are finally the 2 protectors of this pyramid, or technically it is protector of your investments. Poor management, or just simply poor cybersecurity controls, or let's just say one simple security breach can bring your entire pyramid down and can really cost you a lot more than your entire annual IT budget. So this strategy is somewhat unique to how ECO manages technology. But just a couple of years ago, the norm was pretty much that most organizations would spend about 90% of their IT budgets on core infrastructure and end user support. And the rest was spent probably on data and applications, layer 2 as we look at it. And that was generating not much impact or not much return on investment. Over the past few years, we've seen that trend shifting towards 60 to 70% of the budgets being spent on infrastructure and end user support, and about 30 to 40 on business systems. And where we see this trend going is the following, as you will see it on the spreadsheet, is what you see here. We took a very simple spreadsheet, and in our example, we consider a nonprofit organization with a $10 million annual budget. And let's just say for this example that they're going to spend about 5% every year on their IT. What we suggest when we come on board, generally, this is about 70% going into IT infrastructure, and the remaining is going into business applications, maybe a little bit to integration. In the first year of our engagement, or in first year of this path, we suggest adding more to the IT management and cybersecurity in the first year of our engagement, while streamlining your infrastructure and end user support. That takes about a good 9 to 12 months. The following year, we suggest starting focusing on your core business application, integration, reporting. And in the final year of this transition, the focus shifts more towards automation, data analytics, and communications. The ultimate goal here is that at least 50% of the IT budget should be allocated to IT areas or IT layers that make a large impact on your organization. So right now, if this all makes sense, I really would love to very quickly shift then into a little bit of more of a technical issues. So yes, if this sounds all great, what do I have to do? How do I move my very expensive infrastructure and user support into the this 35% range? There's a number of very proven, in a way, somewhat simple and somewhat not so simple strategies or tactical items. So first of all, revamp your voice and data connectivity. Many organizations are still paying bills on agreements that were signed 5 or 10 years ago. You can always renegotiate a new deal with your internet service provider or switch to somebody else. We strongly suggest using SD-WAN or software-defined WAN to make your internet connectivity more resilient. It comes with automatic failover, dynamic bandwidth management. It comes with built-in VPNs. It's a very small price to pay for an enterprise class internet connectivity that supports data, voice, and video seamlessly. You simply, that stops being any problem for your organization. Get rid of your phone systems and most of your plain old phone lines. Majority of employees these days are using mobile phones or some form of video conferencing for conversations and meeting anywhere. Migrate to the cloud as much as possible. Be aware that not all clouds are created equal. We see a trend where, for example, a managed service provider migrate their clients into MSP's own cloud. In this case, they will still charge a high price for hosting and support, and they don't provide preferential nonprofit pricing. What Echo suggests is moving your applications to a true cloud: Amazon AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud. Most of these three organizations provide a highly preferential pricing for hosting, and also having your application sit in a true cloud minimizes the amount of IT support required either by your MSP or by your internal IT team. Invest in cybersecurity, and you might want to start today by buying cybersecurity insurance if you don't have it. And then the second thing that we would strongly recommend, you should follow that immediately. Buy a cybersecurity assessment just to understand how good or bad, or how poorly or how well you're exposed out to the outside world. Automate IT support as much as possible. Automation today can probably take care of about 75% of IT support tasks, which minimizes costly human labor. Streamline employee onboarding and offboarding, and minimize computer equipment swapping as much as possible. Support or swapping computers between different users, onboarding or offboarding, are some of the most expensive IT support operations. Want to switch quickly into speaking a little bit about business systems. Most organizations don't have a strong experience with this, and there's also a shortage of vendors capable of doing ongoing either build out or support of business systems. Honestly, aside from Echo, I'm not aware that there are many, let's just call them MSPs for business systems, as the IT support world is very crowded with number of MSP. This business system support is pretty thinly populated. What we see as the biggest issue on this front is that as more software vendors are offering nonprofit discounts, organizations are implementing large number of dispersed business systems. Actually, there's one system for each problem that they might have. And each system can address one problem or boost efficiency for one department, but very soon the entire organization is in total discord with itself. It starts creating unnecessary burden on people to type or retype data, manually try to reconcile reports from different systems, and create a situation where actually more manual work is created by technology than what technology is supposed to fix in its first place. To avoid this problem, we suggest build your technology strategy following your business strategy, build your technology roadmap, and with that, you should have a data and application architecture. And then after you have that put together, then you can go on a shopping spree and start buying, pieces of the puzzle of this overall technology architecture puzzle, and that each of these pieces should actually fit nicely into your overall puzzle, into your overall architecture. And consider integration as a part of bringing any of those applications on board. And one more important advice here, that organizations these days can finance large system implementations through a leasing company. Leasing companies these days will finance pretty much anything, including services or consulting fees at a very reasonable rates. Should you need additional funding for some of these projects. And then this is a final tip. This actually came from Donna. She asked for specific suggestions on what is a lifetime of hardware as we still have to buy it. And it's very simple. Smartphones would last about 2 years. Windows and Mac personal computers, 3 years. Servers should go for about 4 years. network devices 5, phone systems 10, and printers 5 years. Big question here is, are these machines gonna live longer than a lifespan? Yes. However, right around that time, a drastic increase in support cost and paired with significant decrease in police productivity and efficiency really makes it extremely costly to keep these machines running past their suggested lifespan. I think most organizations are better off giving those machines to their employees as a gift. It's a good e-recycling strategy, and it's really, really, really good for employee churn. It'll make them pretty happy. What you need to consider is, when it comes to personal computers also, is that the most expensive, and I think it was mentioned before, aspect of personal computer is really the support cost. Device provisioning, device repair, and switching device from one user to another is a lot more expensive than the cost of a computer. So for that reason, don't buy the cheapest hardware there is, and try to keep one computer to the same employee for as long as possible. So this is kind of the end of our official part of the webinar. There's a lot more that we would like to share and discuss with you, but in the interest of the time, we decided just to take a very wide sway on this topic and address some of the things that we see as the most important items here. But of course, we have a lot of time available here to answer any of our questions that you might have, concerns, or any feedback or any suggestions that would be more than welcome. Who's going to respond to Ken? There's a question in Zoom. Yeah. Harun is suggesting that. How do we explain how to ask a question?
On the chat?
Well, either Trello chat, I think.
Yeah, they can just use the chat function.
Okay, I don't hear anyone. So actually, I'll jump on this one. Yes, this webinar is being recorded, and we will be posting it. Is it going to be on our website? Yes, it's going to be on our website within, probably before the end of the day today.
We have one question. If you could go over lowering infrastructure costs one more time.
Okay, I think Vashti, you can switch back. Actually, I think it's it's further later slide.
So this one?
Next. All right. So I'll just try to briefly go over this again. Is that there's many strategies that we can do here on this front, but the way that I love to look at this, it's really technology is a great tool for automation, especially automation of repetitive and automated tasks. So, for example, what used to take us hours, at least once a month, after 10 p.m. when everybody's down, was to run all the patching, all of the upgrading, and similar things. These days, majority of that work can be automated. But let's go then quickly once more. The revamp for voice and data connectivity. There's still a lot of probably builds, phone builds, and interconnectivity builds on the agreements that are probably more than 5 to 10 years ago. We strongly suggest using SD-WAN. software-defined WANs, and to make your internet connectivity more resilient with automatic failover, dynamic bandwidth management, and built-in VPNs. So it really builds in security and ability to manage it remotely without too much of a human intervention. Get rid of all the phone systems if you can, and move your phone lines, several phone lines that you might need. You move it into a cloud, through a VoIP provider. Migrate to the cloud, and what we strongly suggest to migrate it to a true cloud. Try to, if you still have an application that has to run on a physical server or on a server, we suggest moving to Amazon, AWS, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud, and use preferential pricing that you might get from those. We suggest strongly investing in cybersecurity, buy cybersecurity insurance, and go for find a vendor that can provide a cybersecurity assessment for you with probably a set of recommendations. We actually had about 2 months ago, less than 2 months ago, a cybersecurity webinar that really breaks down the complexity of some cybersecurity to several simple steps. It's not that complicated. It's not that expensive. And most of the organization can achieve a very good level of protection with some basic tools and strategies around it. Of course, automate support as much possible. And then one big costly IT support item, which is employee onboarding, employee offboarding, and computer equipment swapping. That should be as automated and as streamlined as possible to save a lot of money on that.
We have another question.
Uh-huh.
Does the percent of spend increase as an organization includes business process automation and BI? Can core infrastructure decrease in cost to compensate for the increased technology?
Yeah, actually, the answer to that question is yes. The idea behind the strategy is that rather than just keep investing more in these new layers of technologies, business process automation, BI, rather than adding more money there, that what we're suggesting is rebalancing your budget, decrease the expenditure on infrastructure and user support, and shift that money. So technically, if you're spending 5% today, we suggest you should be spending 5% over the next 2 to 3 years, if that makes sense for you, but then shift that money from low impact areas to high impact areas. So we would suggest doing it that way. And that's what's fairly unique about this suggestion, this process. Any more questions?
They can always unmute themselves and ask the question.
Would you recommend a best of breed approach to technologies with integration, or would you recommend a one-stop shop system? It's a very, very good question. One of my favorite. I think it really, it might depend. To answer this, I don't think that there's one answer that fits all. I would still start with your business strategy that will define your technology strategy, that will define your technology roadmap. And then once you understand what is the business goal behind it, then I would suggest, yes, you try to find the best of breed approach to technology, and then balance that with one-stop shop. And to tell you the truth, the only one-stop shop that I could conceivably recommend here is maybe Salesforce, and I say that with Salesforce, honestly, at this moment is the only platform, not only application, but a platform that is available to small nonprofit organizations at a reasonable cost. It comes with some out-of-the-box functionality and some out-of-the-box applications like a nonprofit success pack, but then also allows you to integrate with anything and everything, or heavily customize it should you need it. So we do have a number of clients who are very much started with nonprofit success pack, and then really use Salesforce, developed it. So they're currently running even their programs through Salesforce or through Salesforce communities. There are other organizations who are simply already started down on this path. They went either down Microsoft path, then in that case, you can't cover pretty much everything with Microsoft. And Microsoft is probably becoming the closest to being the next platform that will be fully available onto these recommendations. The question is, should subscriptions such as NetSuite be under IT? Absolutely. That should be part of the IT budget. How do we categorize subscriptions under IT? If I do understand the question really well, what I generally suggest when working with our clients, if we're looking into any tool that has monthly subscription or annual subscription, I prefer to do the full cost estimate over 3, hopefully 5 years. And then, where you're going to get probably most preferential pricing if you sign a deal for, say, 3 years. That's what those software or SaaS vendors really like. But then ultimately, it's every year's subscription fees goes into that year's budget. But don't sign any of those subscription agreements unless you do a full estimate of your 3 to 5 year cost, including implementation, including support, and including subscription licenses. Do we have more questions? Okay. All right. We're gonna, in the interest of time, thank you everybody. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, any concerns, anything that we might help you with, just shoot us an email. You can call us directly. That's perfectly fine. This is, one of our favorite topics to talk to, and probably anybody here will be happy to help you. I want to repeat this old saying, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and all that story. But anyway, whatever it is, whatever we can help, just ping us, and we'll be able to help you here. More than happy to have these continued conversation offline. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.